All right, we back. I know that may seem a little abrasive, right? All right, we back. But that's because you are tuned into a really special edition of the podcast. So on my podcast, I started a contest to give away some free merchandising, the novelty podcast t-shirt, simple thing. Anybody who listens to the show had a chance to comment under one of my posts, under one of my many social media handles. And I would make a review about that movie, put it up on YouTube, and I'll do something special. So on my podcast, I got something called the Spoiler Room, and that's what we're gonna do. It's probably a little weird for the people who always listen to the podcast because I'm kind of playing at the camera right now because this is gonna be on YouTube. And you the viewer, you can go tell people, you can go help people out. But whatever YouTube video gets to 20 views first, they will win the t-shirt. And I know what you're thinking, 20 views? What? Well, look, I am completely new to the YouTube space. When I say completely new, I mean less than a year. Based on everything I'm saying, that's how long it kind of takes to have this thing kick off. So without further ado, now that you guys kind of got a clue of what the hell is going on, I'm going to get into the first review. I will be breaking these reviews into 3 parts. This one may be the most lengthy because I had to give some type of context to all of this thing. But I do want to start off with what may be the best movie that I have to review, and that is Forrest Gump. Let's get into it. Taking Forrest Gump to the spoiler room. I don't have any dramatic effects to add in. I would love to have them, but I don't. Spoiler room is just raw, it's uncut, and you're in it. So let's do it. So let's talk about Forrest Gump, the classic 1994 film from Paramount Pictures starring Tom Hanks, Robin Wright. Like, I had no idea it was Robin Wright the whole time. She aged really well, but I don't know. I kind of thought she was born looking like she did in House of Cards. I don't know where it came from, but just the ensemble of a great cast in this one, and that's a crazy strength of this one. It's the acting. I don't even know how strong of a story this is. The story, you kind of got to be naive to really buy completely into the story, but at the same time, damn, like, it's just great acting across the board. So even when throughout this movie you get these low points, you get these low points where it's not a lot going on, but just the acting in itself was enough to carry you, and the character that was Forrest Gump was enough to carry you because they were really careful to show us what was inspiring him, and that basically was his I don't know, right? And this climate is weird. I wish I got to do this review in 1994, but if I say the wrong thing while talking about an autistic person, autistic character, fictional or not, I could get into some trouble. Now I'm at the point where I could use some controversy, but man, you really got to pick your battles. So just know I'm cognizant of that as I'm talking about this. But the dude, being a simpleton, did a lot for him in his character arc, where he wouldn't overthink a lot of things. He would just kind of follow his heart. He would just, take things as they came to him. I'm not really crazy about this thing being like the romance that it became, because it only dabbled in being a romance. It never lived true to being a romantic film, because his love interest, Robin Wright, who was played by Robin Wright, her name is Janine. I did not want to say Janine like that. I knew it was gonna happen. It's compulsive at this point, because all I hear when I hear Janine my whole life is Janine. It's just what you say. But anyway, played by Robin Wright, massively, I might add. But when they put her into the story, it was distracting because she was always. She always had that barrier of, being with somebody who's autistic, like Tom Hanks is, like Forrest Gump is in this movie. Not Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks isn't artistic, but she had that barrier. But she had these addictions, and she, she had sex addiction, drug addiction, all these addictions. So we didn't know what barrier she was really fighting, and that's probably a big problem for this movie overall, is that it did not know how much to develop Janine, because it would have made this movie make a lot of sense, because we should have seen, Forrest Gump going through an insane character arc, but never did he learn. His love for Janine stayed true. through everything that he went through all of the history that he influenced or witnessed, his love for Janine stayed true. He was never worried about what she was doing then, and he was never worried about who she was because he loved what she was. It's sweet, but at the same time, when you're talking about a character who is sometimes heroic, it's frustrating to the story that he still, he gets a child out of it. And you think like, who else would be able to even give him a child with so many of the barriers that society has against autistic people? So you got that going, and it's like the only way to really make this thing gel at the end, and you can sense it, right? But it's so much working well for this story. In a lot of spots, it's hilarious. Again, they hit on a lot of different things. I mean, we're hitting on, how veterans are affected by the war. We're hitting on, autistic people, how we come across to how autistic people come across to, the common people, common folk or whatever, how they are when they're integrated into society. You see that when he's, just riffing off whoever sits close to him. After a while, he doesn't even care who's close to him. He's just into his story, and they would be into the story as much as they could be because, the dude was constantly saying outlandish stuff. It was times during this movie where I was wondering if the whole thing was going on in his head. It would have made so much more sense to me because it's just like this is all happening. Like, this is incredible. It's incredible that it was really happening. Like, I just couldn't believe it. But I think that's probably what made this thing what it is. That's probably what makes it still as good as it is to this day. Now, you all know I'm a big junkie of a certain critical website. You may have heard of them, and I don't like saying their name. I don't know why. Some paranoia I have about lawsuits or whatever. I don't know. It's just a thing of mine. But this website has aggregate score that it gives these things, gives them percentages from an audience's and a critical perspective, and I think is mind-boggling. I think that it really helps you gauge things. On this one, you have the critics giving it a 72%. A 72%. So you would think like with a legendary movie like this, it'd at least be, 90 something percent, but to be a 72%, but 92% audience score, and it's certified fresh. So, you can tell that this thing still has a certain value. No matter how you cut it, you can say that the story is bad if you want, but it's still so much that you can take from this movie. And that's why I stand at an all-time great. In this day and age, it's probably a bunch of people who haven't seen Forrest Gump. So in a way, I'm glad that the novel one who picked this one, I got this corny thing where I call my listeners novel ones because they are. But I think that it's a beautiful thing that she picked this one because when you got something that will be relevant to every generation until the day that we're gone, I think that it's very essential that more people see movies like this, movies that are a staple in Hollywood, movies that is in the Library of Congress, which is basically saying that the movie is a landmark. So when you got that going on, I think a lot of people need to grab hold of things like this, embrace things like this. Forrest Gump is a classic, cleaned up in the award season, and it deserved all of those accolades. I think it was a great movie. I don't know what I would give it. So what I used to do on my YouTube reviews, I stopped doing it. I changed my format, but what I like to do is decide like who am I closer with, the critics or the audience, right? So I'm probably going to side closer to the audience on this one, even though I'm kind of right between the two. Giving this thing about an 85%. I think that a bunch of scenes could have got deleted in here and it wouldn't have affected the overall narrative or the overall purpose of the movie, but didn't hurt it at all. Everything in here was either good to great it was from okay to great. It was some stuff that was kind of okay. But, again, just incredible acting, incredible directing, incredible writing, just across the board. Everybody knowing exactly what they're doing on this one gives it the all-time status that it has. And if you haven't seen Forrest Gump, check it out. Do I just end this now?